Hello? 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 Chris here. Oh, Real Ellen 140. Busy smashing glasses since before about 9 o'clock. Tonight I am going to be looking at something from the Nottingham Brewery. It's their extra pale ale, and it's a gem of pale ale genre, single malt, golden colour and succinct flavour, complemented by its piquant essence of hop character, justifying the accolades awarded at the Great British Beer Festival in 2004, which I believe it won I think a gold medal at the CAMRA festival. Now, this actually has my favourite ever. If you've seen anything recently that I've done, you may have seen one of the 6-point beers that I did, which gave all kinds of warnings about not handling heavy machinery or driving or all manner of stuff. I don't know if you're going to be able to get this on the camera. Let's have a look. It says the entirety of the health warning is that this is a beneficial beverage if consumed responsibly in moderation. Big society, see? Just telling you to leave yourself, get on with it, trust yourself, stop being silly. Everyone's fine. So, without further ado, I'm going to open this because I quite fancy a beer. Nice yellow cap there, goes with the label. EPA label there. Tiny bit of smoke. Just puffing away. Tiny bit of fizz on there. Is this? I think this is bottle conditioned. Always a bonus. Let's pour it away. Now the colour, you can see already, very, very light, very golden. I mean, I've just demolished a Kipling as my first drink of the night. And that was a comparable colour, I think. Maybe a touch more orange. In terms of carbonation, what can you get there? It's busy, not too busy. Small bubbles moving around. There's no chunks or anything. So if it is beer conditioned, bottle conditioned, sorry, that's a bonus. Not much of a head on it. Not playing very well. I didn't pour it very aggressively. Some people think that's a fault. I don't care, quite frankly. It's in the glass, and I'm going to be able to give it a bit of a sniff. So that's what I'm going to do now. Now, my sniffing abilities are a bit, you may be able to tell, I'm a bit blocked up, but I'm going to try anyway. I'm picking up. There's not loads of wild fruits in this. Remember, I have just drunk a Kipling, so there's going to be a difference. But this is what I would term, from the smell, your more traditional English IPA. It's not your West Coast American kind of bonkers Sierra Nevada torpedo kind of IPA. It's more in the Sammy Smith's kind of end of things. Sammy Adams kind of end of things. Touch of biscuit maybe in the malt. The one thing that also says on the label, which intrigues me, is that they've made a point of saying that they're using pure local water. Now, I've been up to, well, about just 20 miles south of Nottingham, and had a few drinks in bars in Loughborough, which is a great place to go if you ever want to go and visit some CAMRA pubs there and the outlying villages. Corn, I think, is particularly nice. Go and visit that place. but the local water up there is probably some of the best I've experienced for beers. So anyway, I'm not going to talk anymore for a second anyway. I'm going to start drinking this and see what I think of it. Now, even though it doesn't look that carbonated, there's a fair push on that. It's livelier in the mouth than it is in the glass. Peculiar. It does that nice thing of almost stabbing your tongue with lots of little pricks of flavour, and then washing its way through, and leaving you having to sort of remove some of that gas in whichever way you can, and washing through a malty, not overly malty, but in that kind of maybe a touch of the malted milk biscuit, that kind of maltiness. Excuse me. That's really good. Sorry, I should use more superlatives. But this just is. It comes in at 4.2%. There's some debate over what's a session ale. For me, just so you're clear for future use, session ale is not necessarily down just to the ABV. For me, it's a number of factors. Are you able to get through a number of these in a session? A pub session would be, say, from 7 to 11 at night. Pub opening hours when I was a youngster. not so the same these days, but or when the pub used to close down in the afternoon, you didn't have a 24-hour drinking, so you'd have blocks where you could get in the pub and have a few drinks. Probably to stop you getting plastered during because the Licensing Act, I think, was brought in by Lloyd George during the First World War, to stop factory workers getting off their trolleys in between shifts. So for me, a session ale isn't just that ABV. It's not just about whether or not it's going to get you sloshed. Actually, it's about how easy it is to drink, and whether or not it could be down to how heavy it is. Because you could have a 4% beer that was very, very heavy, and you could maybe only have 2 before you started feeling a bit bloated or a bit sunk by it. Or you could have very, very fizzy beers that you couldn't have too many of because it would fizz you out, and you don't want that either. This, for me, is a very good example of a session beer. 4.2, that's acceptable. You're unlikely to session something at 8.5 or 7 or 8 or anything around that. But this you could probably tuck away a good few of these. I think without suffering too much in the way of ill effects. Maybe 4 or 5 in a 4 or 5 hour session. A pint an hour, it's quite respectable. I'm drinking it quicker now than I would do, because normally in a pub you'd be sat there supping and maybe having a game of darts, or eating some nuts, or talking about the football, or whatever it is blokes do in pubs, and sometimes women. Maybe not as successfully as blokes might be in being a bit sexist there. Sorry, ladies, if there are any ladies watching. I'm just going to drink a bit more of this, and then I'm going to swill it around, stick my schnoz in it again, and see if there's anything else I can pick out. terms of fruits, it's slightly floral. There's no big outstanding IPA bounce. There's no gooseberry. There's no pineapple. There's no tropical fruits. There's nothing like that. It's subtle, and it's nice. It's not going to take you by surprise, but sometimes you don't want a beer to take you by surprise. That's another thing that can make a good session beer for me. Okay, in terms of rating, for me, I think I've outlined where I would want this beer. It's if I was going out to the pub and they only had one real ale on tap or cask, whichever way you like it, or even in bottles if they had a few. If this was the only beer they had in bottles in the pub, I could quite happily have a few of those, and I'd recommend them to my friends as well. It would certainly be better than the standard alternatives that you get offered, and better than a lot of mainstream beer brewers as well. I like this. I'm going to try more of their stuff when I get a chance, and I'm going to give this an 8. 8 out of 10 for Nottingham Brewery's Extra Pale Ale. Okay, well, have fun. Remember to have a beneficial beverage if you're consuming responsibly and in moderation. Take care. Cheers.